Today we're going to talk about standard form of a linear equation. That form is ax plus by equals c. Before we look at how to graph from a standard form or how to rewrite in standard form, let's look at a few things we need to take note of regarding standard form. First, a, b, and c are real numbers, but they are not fractions. However, I can't say that they are whole numbers because b and c can be negative, but a should never be a negative number in standard form. Also, x always comes before y in standard form. So again, standard form is ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are real numbers but not fractions. Let's look at how to graph from standard form. First thing I want to do is find the x and y intercepts. I can then put these 2 points on the graph and draw a line through the points. So our example, 5x minus 6y equals 60, is in standard form because the coefficient of x, 5, is positive. It's okay for the coefficient of y to be negative. It's okay for c, or our constant term, to be negative. In this case, it's not. It's positive. Now, how do I find the x and y intercepts? Well, the x-intercept is found by making y equal to 0 and solving for x. We do that because any point on the any point on the x-axis has a y value of 0. So to find my x-intercept, I'm going to replace my y in my equation with a 0. So I get 5x minus 6 times 0 equals 60. If I simplify that, 6 times 0 is 0, so 5x equals 60. And when I divide by 5, I get x equals 12. That means that I have the point 12, 0. And I'm going to need to put that point on my graph. Now my graph isn't marked, so I don't know what the scale is, so I'm going to create a scale. I'm going to call this 2, and I'm going to call this 2. So if I'm counting by 2's, the point 12, 0 goes here. That's my x-intercept. To find my y-intercept, I'm going to rewrite the equation substituting 0 in place of x, because any place on this y-axis, 0 is equal to x. So I get 5 times 0 minus 6y equals 60. 5 times 0 is 0, so I get negative 6y equals 60. In solving for y, I divide both sides by negative 6. So 60 divided by negative 6 is negative 10. That means I need to graph the point 0, negative 10. So again, I'm counting by 2's, and I'm going to go negative on the y-axis. So it's 2, negative 4, negative 6, negative 8, negative 10. And I put a point there. Notice that now that I have 2 points on my graph, I can use a straight edge and draw a line. I want the line to go between the 2 points. Past the 2 points. Now with a straight edge, you'll have a little bit easier time lining these up than I did. But I think you understand what we're doing here. Of course, what do we always put on the end of our lines? Arrows. So now we've graphed from standard form. Please remember to use the pause button if you need to rewatch this part of the video. Let's look at another problem. We want to transform the equation of a line to standard form. We do this by multiplying the equation by the least common denominator, but only if we have a fraction, because of course if we don't have a fraction, we don't have a denominator. After we do that, we want to add or subtract so that both x and y are on the left side and the constant is on the right side of the equal sign. As we look at our problem, we have y minus 2 equals negative 1 over 3 times the quantity of x plus 6. In other words, this is in point-slope form. I want to put it in standard form, and I have a denominator. So I'm going to multiply both sides of my equation by my denominator, which is 3. Now I have to do some distribution. So 3 times y is 3y, and 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. And when I multiply on the right side, my 3's cancel, and I have negative 1 times x plus 6. What this means is that I need to distribute the negative 1 so that I can move it between the x and the 6. So I have 3y minus 6 equals negative x minus 6. Now what I need to do is move the x to the left side of my equal sign. I do that by adding. So when I add x to both sides, I get x plus 3y minus 6 equals negative 6. Now I need to move the negative 6 to the right side, and I do that by adding. So x plus 3y equals negative 6 plus 6, or 0. And this is standard form. So C equals 0. And that's okay. This is the standard form of an equation of a line. Now I have 2 more things that I need you to understand about lines. It's important to note what happens when we have a 0 slope or an undefined slope. So I have 2 examples for you. Equations that have 0 slope are horizontal lines. An example would be if I'm given the point 4, 3. That's a point on my line, and my slope equals 0. That's a horizontal line where y equals 3. So I could put that point 4, 3 on my graph. It would be right about here. I have a horizontal line that goes through there. That line has the equation y equals 3. What that really means is that everywhere on this graph, no matter what the x value is, the y value is 3. And it's a horizontal line, so it looks like this. Again, every horizontal line, the equation is y equals whatever the y value in the given point is. For an undefined slope, that is a vertical line. So that is the line that contains the point 4. And we have the point 4, 3, but this is 4. That's our x value. The equation for this line is always x equals the x value of the given point. And as I said, it's a vertical line. In this case, it's a vertical line that goes through the point where x equals 4. So it's this line here. So it's very important that you make note of this because you'll see vertical lines and horizontal lines often, and you'll want to know how to write the equation of those lines.